I would like to discuss about the medium and the medium being a part of an ancient bloodline. As we know, we are greatly influenced by our 14 generations that consists of thousands of people. We know that our genetic code is patterned, repatterned, repatterned by all these thousands of people in our 7 to 14 generations. We know that there is a golden chain that is within the genetic code that is established through multiple generations, 7, 14, even more generations of individuals who pass down an ancient pattern. And the medium basically is activating that pattern, using that pattern, and continuing that pattern. So we carry all kinds of patterns in our genetic code, right? Trauma from war, all of us have that, right? That has its own pattern in our genetic code, right? And those patterns usually are about fear, scarcity, poverty, rage, revenge, insecurity, right? These more fight or flight patterns that all of us have, regardless of what region on this planet we're from, right? We all have that trauma, that fight or flight, catastrophe, phobia, weakness, right? That creates a sort of aggression, a self-aggression and aggression towards other, right? Distrust of ourselves, distrust of others, and more of a pessimistic understanding. We also have patterns of the lineage of men, right? Father, grandfather, and patterns of the lineage of women, mother and grandmother. And the patriarch has its own, right? Its own pattern when it comes to nobility, when it comes to safety, and when it comes to authority, right? And those patterns for each of us is going to be different. Some of those patterns can be arrhythmic, dysfunctional, right? Can be imbalanced, unjust, right? And for the woman, the mother, the grandmother, there's patterns of authenticity, right? Self-expression, artistry, and awareness of self, right? Self-knowledge. And those patterns can be atrophied, underdeveloped, can be imbalanced, but the medium is one of a very strong psychic ability, right? The medium actually is an individual that actually, the medium itself, right, that psychic code actually contains all the codes of the other psychic abilities, such as clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. The medium actually is the original code, and these other psychic abilities are from the mediumship. So before channeling, before clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, there was the medium. And then out of the medium came all these other psychic abilities that we have today, right? The medium is considered the ancient one, the ancient one, as in the first bloodline to be on Earth. So the medium bloodline is actually hundreds of thousands of years old on planet Earth. The medium is able to connect to multiple civilizations of human on this planet, because we've had sensing 3 civilizations, meaning in this period, in the period of, we could say, transition, could be a catastrophe on this planet, right? And during that time, basically human is extinct or absent on this planet, meaning the first catastrophe was fire, right? Volcano created some sort of cloud in the atmosphere, like that blocks sunlight, and life, right, kind of went away for a time period, right? And then we had we have axis shift, right? The axis of the planet shift and continents began to reorganize, and then we have flood, right? And during these times of massive change to the planet, human was extinct, right? Or in other ways, minor sort of civilizations we know as like civilizations such as Atlantis, right, can extinct themselves, right? As we can extinct ourselves, or we can leave this planet, right, as the planet goes through a catastrophe that is not because of humanity, can be, but it's just a part of the planet, really. Earth has its own design, and it has to go through these particular phases that are quite violent to human, but really it's just natural for the Earth. But to us it's uncomfortable and can be harmful to us because we're very fragile. We're a lot more fragile than we know. But to Earth does not know pain that we know in the catastrophe. Earth only knows change, transformation, and rebirth, right? So the medium is one of the ancient magicians, right? And out of the medium came all the magicians we have today, and the many fashions of psychic ability, right? The medium was the first. And out of the medium came all the extensions that create their own sort of psychic mastery and psychic alchemy and psychic manifestation, right? So the medium basically represents an Akashic record. And the Akashic record the medium has access to is very ancient. And the way that the Akashic record the medium has connects to hundreds of thousands of years. Now, not every bloodline connects to hundreds of thousands of years. There are bloodlines on this planet that can only go far back, right? We know that. And we know that there are bloodlines that go very, very deep, right? Such as we think of the Jew, right? The Jew bloodline as something that basically a very strong mediumship. We know about the Creole-French bloodline goes back. We know about, of course, the Middle East, right? Saudi Arabia. The bloodline goes deep, right, to ancient Egypt, right? Africa. There's a deep bloodline in the African, right? The African root. And these bloodlines are, again, a lot of them are connected, right? They're interconnected, they're interwoven, as research in the ancestral connection, have discovered like Cherokee bloodline actually has a genetic overlap with the Saudi Arabians, which can indicate that bloodlines have been connected, even bloodlines that are seeming far apart, such as the Cherokees and Saudi Arabians. That's, continents, right? Continents apart. So with these bloodlines, right, that have mediumship, right, because not every bloodline has a very strong mediumship, right? Basically, it's a spiritual victory. That's what mediumship is. It's a spiritual victory, meaning having access to a giant Asatchic record. Not everybody has access to that. And in that massive Asatchic record, there's basically a golden chain. We call it a golden chain, golden link of a matriarchal and a patriarchal lineage that goes far back, far beyond 7 to 14 generations. We're talking about far, hundreds of thousands of years. And a medium can basically connect through the golden chain of the individuals within every individual who studied mediumship, who cultivated mediumship, right? They can go very, very far back, and they can see through the eyes of each individual, either it's a matriarch, patriarch, gold lineage, and see through the eyes of the medium. And that's very powerful, right? So, for example, there is a particular great grandmother on I believe my grandfather's side, on my Cherokee, Middle Eastern, African side, very, very powerful mediumship. And there's a woman who has the mediumship. And my dad has the mediumship as well. He very much had the mediumship. And in the eyes of my father, in the eyes of this woman, I'm able to connect with the mediumship of them, the teaching, the knowledge they had, almost seeing through their eyes and seeing the history, right, the self-knowledge they obtained. And then you can even go further back, and I can connect through the eyes of other individuals in my ancestral record and connect with their teaching, their offering, right, their life experience, their gift, right, and the way they expressed that gift, and the way they developed it, and the way that they used it during the time period that they're in. So basically, a medium is considered we call it more prestigious, right? One of the highest positions we call the psychic realm. It's considered one of the highest, even in ancient Egypt. Matriarchal Egypt, the medium was considered the ancient one, meaning the elder, right? We always see mediums as like an old woman. Usually we always depict them as like a black old woman, right, in our subconscious, because we know that the mediumship actually does come from a matriarchal black, we call it African society, way back in the day, probably tens of thousands of years ago, right, hundreds of thousands of years ago, 50, 100,000 years ago. The medium, we always see it as, again, like an old black woman, because subconsciously we all know that is where it originated from, right, the whole mediumship. And then it went to Egypt to Saudi Arabia, and we have the Jew population, we move the French, and we move right to even the Indian, right, the Native American. And basically the medium is considered the elder, right, the elder of the tribe, the elder of the group, the one with the wise eyes. So one kind of trait about connecting to recognizing the medium in the family, or the medium in, someone who has a lineage of mediums, is the eyes. The one thing about the medium that you'll even see in like folk stories is that regardless if it's Celtic folk story or Greek folk story or Arabian folk, right, story, there's always the medium is depicted as big eyes, meaning their eyes have mystic power to them, right? And in the eyes, when someone connects with the eyes, is they're brought into like the Akashic record of time, where time opens up, where time expands, and they're seeing the mystery of time. They're seeing history beyond their conditioned, their programming, right? Their ideology, their belief, right? They see into dimensions of human existence. The human in the higher dimensions, in the lower dimensions, human in Atlantis, Lemuria, humans on other planets such as Sirius planet, Pleiades, Orion, right? The medium is close to the shaman, right? The medium is the shaman in these ancient matriarchal cultures that were African American. They were seen as the shaman because they were connected to a Akashic record. They had so much, they could see into so many dimensions, right? Because they had the eyes to see, right? They could see into the golden chain, right? There's a golden chain, and in the golden chain, basically, it's a link, right? Every person in the generation who is considered the oracle, right? Basically, they create a chain to the older generation, right? And in every generation of mediums, there's always one. It could be 1, 2, 5, who knows? There's always one that is called by the lineage to be the link to the 7 generations, the 14 generations, or to the going way into the ancient generation, such as thousands, tens, hundreds of thousand years in history, right? And we call this one that is selected by the lineage, meaning the ancestors of thousands of people. That there's a person who's chosen, and usually the medium, right, that's chosen by, initiated, chosen by the lineage, is an individual who will be the bearer of the Akashic record, right? Meaning they will have access to dimensions of humanity, right? They'll get to see into many stories of human, right? Many ideologies, civilizations, technologies, right? Meditations, teachings, rituals, religions of human. And the reason why the medium connects with all of that is because as the elder, the medium represents the old soul. The elder, when it means old soul, it means not just old soul as you've had multiple incarnations. As old soul represents your soul, your eyes that see not just through several generations. Your eyes see through tens of hundreds of thousands of years. Your eyes see not only to this dimension, but the higher dimensions and the lower dimensions, the dark age, the bronze age, the silver age, the golden age. And all of those ages, there is a woman or man, right, a matriarch or patriarch, who is connected to you, who is considered your grandmother or grandfather, but in hundreds of thousands of years in the past. And why this mediumship is significant and one of the highest sort of spiritual victories on this planet is that what it does is it brings to a generation or to humanity, it brings authenticity, right? It brings artistry, and the medium is basically there to enrich and bring great prosperity to the culture of the generation, right? Because rich in bringing prosperity or enriching the culture of a generation really demands that you have you have wisdom, that you have sort of an old soul, like knowledge about time and the dimensions of time, to really have a well-rounded and masterful culture, right? So that you're never tricked or fooled or never caught in the many illusions that kind of make human in the image of the many agendas that come on this planet that really are not fruitful for humanity, or not belonging to humanity's creative destiny, but belonging to humanity's distraction, right? Or disillusionment, or humanity's downfall, or humanity's spiritual battle, right? So I speak of the medium and the bloodline because basically the one thing about the medium, we talk about mediums talking with dead people basically, but it's not just speaking with dead people. It's bigger than that. It's speaking with your bloodline, not just your bloodline of your grandmother of 10,000 years ago, and your grandmother 100,000 years ago in ancient Lemuria or Atlantis, or from Sirius or from Pleiades, right, who traveled here, right, shared the bloodline with right, human genetic, right? And right, it's not just speaking with dead people, right? That's a part of it, where you basically, it's not just dead people. I mean, you can speak with earthbound spirits, but that's really not what mediums are here to do. They're not here to speak with earthbound spirits. They're not here to participate in any sort of mischief or misbehavior, or any sort of stagnation. They're here to speak directly with ancestors of a golden link or golden arc, right? And they're mainly, mediums are meant to speak with the liberated ancestors, not earthbound ancestors, right? Who allowed the disillusionment, they allowed the disorder and the distraction of their time to basically pull them away from their authenticity and from their original, right, Asatric record, right, from their pure clarity of mind, right? There are earthbound spirits who are very much caught in disillusionment. They're really caught in the distraction and the sort of agendas that come to this planet that really have no purpose besides kind of spiritual imprisonment, right? And the earthbound spirits can get caught in there. But mediums, just like the shaman, are meant to liberate. They're meant to connect with ancestors of liberated plane, from a liberated plane, to bring about a liberated teaching or culture to the life they live, right? To really deconstruct and break down these disillusionments, distractions, and dishonest, right, agendas or deceptive beliefs or deceptive ideologies that distort or create a discord and a stagnation within history, right? Which is, mediums are meant to basically deconstruct the rut in history, because there's ruts in history, right? And mediums are meant to deconstruct, destroy the ruts in history, right, within the family line, and really meant to bring liberation to the genetic code of their generation and of the future generations. Meaning, mediums are considered the most high psychics, right? The original psychic, the old soul, the oldest of oldest souls to earth, the oldest psychic, right? The most original psychic to earth, is because the medium, the gift of the medium is there to repattern the genetic code. They know how to go into the genetic code of the human design, and they know how to pull out in the genetic code deception, disillusionment, distraction, stagnation, right, in the genetic code, and able to rewrite, reprogram, reparent the genetic code of themselves and of generations in the creating of a golden chain of generations or within the lineage. And they have the ability also to put in teachings like a shaman, right? Literally, you're putting into somebody's consciousness, downloading into their dream state, right, into their meditation, their self-hypnosis, their kind of self-psychology, downloading wisdom, teaching, mantra, sound current, movement, right, talent, gift, basically the eyes of the medium. You can give the genetic code, basically giving them the eyes of the ancient medium that was able to see history in the well-roundedness, in the higher dimensions, the lower dimensions, and in the great Assachic record of it, right? Beyond disillusionment, distraction, and stagnation, beyond that. And that is what the shamans are able to do and the mediums are able to do. So in the ancient past, we talk about the old black woman, right? The elder black woman of the tribe was considered the medium, and the shaman was considered, we always see as like an old black man, right? Considered the chief, and the medium is considered the high priestess, right? And the high priestess would be the one that would guide the chief. So it's not the chief is the king and he rules and it's all about what he wants and his will. The high priestess, the medium, was actually the guide. She would guide and she would counsel the chief because she had the Assachic record in her eyes, right? Because the woman in the medium, it's really the woman that carries the eyes. Men carry it too, right? But it really blooms, meaning it really comes to full fruition through the eyes of a woman in the lineage, meaning it can be given to men, of course, but in the eyes of the woman, it really is experienced in the fullness of the Assachic record, right? So there are individuals where the mediums, you can see into their eyes and you can see into, basically it's like a doorway or a portal to higher dimensions of earth, right? Liberated planes of earth. And people would go to the medium to connect with the ancestors, right? the beings, right? The known as dead beings, right? Dead people, basically ancestors, because they wanted to connect with a liberated plane on Earth. They wanted to be given teaching, knowledge, artistry, culture, science, technology, philosophy of ancient worlds, ancient civilizations, to basically enrich themselves and to nourish their genetic code with with a with a we can call it like a mystic science, right? To practice a mystic science that we can call it yogic science today, right? A mystic science that was practiced and perfected by the many mediums in the lineage that people would use to really bring about self-knowledge, intuition, and to bring about this expansion of their human design, meaning the human cultivating consciousness, right? And it was the medium that would basically be the lifeline to consciousness within the people that would go to her and connect with her eyes and even meditate upon her eyes, right? In her eyes, they would be led to the authenticity of the human design, the original human design before delusion and distraction and stagnation, before history of war, agitation, aggression, of conflict, right? Into a liberated human design that is the more honest version of human, right? So the medium would guide the chief, known as the shaman, right? And the shaman, the man and the woman were considered one. It wasn't man and woman. They were considered equal, meaning the chief, the shaman, he would make the changes, right? He would create change, right? He would bring about fairness, justice. He would bring about order. He would bring about discipline, structure, education, right? Being guided by the medium who could tap into the future, right? The present and the past, and would bring about a intuitive prophecy or an intuitive perspective that would help the chief, the shaman, best serve the people and the people's livelihood, right? Because we think of the shaman, it's really about the livelihood of the people, making sure the livelihood of the people has integrity, right? It's on a corrective course. It's on the most constructive course, right? To make sure the livelihood of the people isn't weighed down by any disillusionment, distraction, stagnation, right? Any patterns that are causing mayhem or disorder, discord within the livelihood of human, right? So the shaman, the chief, the man, is known for taking on, right, the darkness, right, seeing the darkness, but also using the artistry of the medium, right, the beauty, the culture that she creates through her sort of poetic justice, right, through her poetic justice, the medium, right, connecting with tools, technology, healing modalities. We call her art, the healing arts, right? The healing arts, through her culture of healing arts that's very ancient, right? The the shaman was able to help bring the people, the community, out of the mayhem, the discord, the disruption internally, and really help to clear, clean, purify, and bring humanity its compass, right? Its life force, its integrity, its vision, right? Its courage, its character, its creativity, right? And the medium was the visionary that could see the courage, the character, the integrity, could see the higher dimensions, had direct access to higher dimensions, and would channel. That's when we get into other abilities, to channel. The medium would use many tools of alchemy, many tools of transmission, right, to receive. She would channel. She would be clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentience. She would use all kinds of mediums. Again, a medium. She would use mediums to connect, right? To connect. And today, many people can fear the mediums, or they fear their own gifts, because a medium, basically, when you were young, and you don't have a mother or grandmother or father or grandfather that can help you, train you, or teach you what's going on, it can be very intense and overwhelming to a young person who is basically, the spiritual realm may feel like an attack, because when you're young and you're medium and your eyes are wide open. Again, mediums have big eyes, right? Either it's Middle Eastern, French, African, Native American, Italian. They have big eyes. And when your eyes are wide, right, wide enough to see the Akashic record of time and the ancestors, you can make contact with earthbound spirits, ancestors, and it can be very intimidating, because a lot of the beings that come to mediums, earthbound beings, ancestors, are looking for the medium to liberate them, right? There's a line around the block, 20 times around the block, that come to the medium because they basically saying, liberate me, right? Earthbound spirits, ancestors, dead people, even entities can kind of come to the medium, right? Seeking to be liberated, right? And when you're young and you don't understand what's going on, why is the spiritual realm attacking me, it can be very, very heavy, right? And confusing, and can even be fearful, right? Because when you, as a medium, you're young and you haven't trained yourself to be able to create boundaries and have discernment, and to know the difference between distorted energy and honest energy, you can be very feeling unsafe and uncomfortable, right? So as a person grows into their gifts, right, usually a medium is drawn naturally to esoterics. Naturally, they're drawn to spirituality. Naturally, they're drawn to technology we call mystic science, astrology, cosmology, ancient history, secrets. They're naturally drawn to secrets of the earth, all kinds of psychic abilities. They're drawn to studying, right, psychic ability, mysticism, just naturally, because they're chosen by the lineage of women and men to basically continue the ancient practice of the original medium, which is an old elder black woman, probably 100,000 years ago, right? And the one that is selected, right, the person, and the soul of that person usually has been a medium in multiple incarnations, and has been a medium probably for a very long time, in different incarnations, in different bodies, right? And that's why the lineage, the ancestors choose that particular person, because they have already been a medium. They've already been working on their gifts and talents for multiple incarnations. Liberating, right? Working on leadership, working on intuition, working on spiritual victory, right? So again, the medium that had, the old soul, right? There's many names for it. The oracle, the just the psychic one is the gifted individual. The medium, right, that basically is access to the Sachic record, the nucleus of the aura, right? That's seen in the eyes, because the eyes are connected to the pituitary and the pineal gland. And basically, the eyes reveal what's going on in the pineal gland, the pituitary gland. And the mediums have a very, very developed pituitary and pineal gland. So the eyes open up a door to what's going on in the pituitary and pineal gland, right? In the arc line, right? And medium has a very prolific, very expansive arc line, more so than other people. And that's why people are drawn to them, especially spirits, spirit babies, earthbound spirits, ghosts, all kinds of spirits, because in the arc line there is self-knowledge, wisdom that is liberated, meaning the what's held in the arc line of the medium is not the dark night of the soul. There's not deception, aggression, unresolved memories, disillusionment, stagnation, distraction, right? In the arc line of the medium, the nucleus of the aura actually is ancient civilization that is liberated and in a higher vibrational state, right? Higher vibrational state. That's kind of the aura, the nucleus, the arc line of the medium. So what that means is that the medium basically is a holder of human creative destiny. The medium, people go to the medium because they say, they want to, what's my fortune, right? They ask the psychic, what's my fortune? Show me my future, show me my past, show me my present, show me who I am, show me my talents, my gifts, reveal to me my past lives, reveal to me my future lives, reveal to me my astrological chart, right? Connect me with my deceased father, right? Connect me with my spirit babies, right? Show me my body, what's going on with my body, why am I feeling sick, why do I have illness? They go to the medium, they say, help me connect with God, right? Help me heal my past, help me heal my trauma, help me, resolve this karma, help me find my dharma, help me cut the cord between these relationship interlocks, right? Help me ascend, right? Help me have mastery, help me be talented, be recognized, excel, right? Heal, grow, excel. And the medium, right, is the original psychic, of the original yogi, guru, teacher, right? The medium, the high priestess, is the original yogi, guru, teacher, right before the patriarchal, the patriarchal spirituality or religious. The medium is the original psychic, the original teacher, the original guide, the original Buddha or high one or old soul or enlightened one, right? The medium, the high priestess, is the basically a conduit of cosmic vibration. And the conduit, right, of cosmic vibration is able to connect with the culture, right, of Earth in the creative destiny, right? Because Earth in the fifth dimension is creative destiny, and that is the vibrational state of humanity that is most desired by everybody on this planet, right? But what happens is we fall out of the fifth dimension and we fall into these lower vibrations, right? Because of our human forgetfulness, right? Human amnesia, or our human you could say imprisonment that we do to ourselves, right? But the medium, right, is always basically his eyes live in the fifth dimension, right? When you look into the eyes of the medium, you are brought to the fifth dimension, creative destiny. You're brought into ancient history. That's basically what it is. The medium is ancient history, original history. She has root language. She has root civilization. She has root history. When I mean root, it's like the seed, the original seed of human consciousness on this planet, right? Even going back to Mars, right? The bloodline that goes all the way back to Mars, which was the older planets. Mars and Earth were sister planets, and Mars was we lived on Mars before we lived on Earth, but then the human the lower vibrational state of human was very imbalanced, and we had to leave, right? So the mission of the medium, right, through the big eyes of the medium, either Cherokee, Saudi Arabian, French, African, in many ways, right? Even in South America, even in Hawaii, the medium can it can travel, right? Can go many places, right? But basically, the deeper the bloodline, meaning the more ancient the bloodline, like Jews and Middle East and African, that the more powerful the medium gift is. And the medium basically is guiding humanity, the community, the tribe, right, towards a culture and an artistry, and eventually, over many generations, a civilization of the fifth dimension, right? And the medium basically is the guiding force, the revolutionary, as well as the teacher, as well as the knowledge holder, right? She is the ambassador of the fifth dimension, and holds that space, holds that frequency in her eyes, in her vision, in her visionary imagination and prophecy, right? That she shares through the culture that she creates, because she creates the culture in the ancient times, that creates the frameworks, or creates the mindset, or the attitude, or the self-concept, or the premise to mythology, to perspective, understanding, and human design, that will, over time, the human design that she builds through the genetic code that she creates in herself and shares with the community, will eventually birth a new civilization, right, belonging to a fifth dimension. Because the goal of the medium is to basically birth a fifth dimension on Earth, which is a creative destiny, right, which is about a mystic science that's applied in the practice, the devotion, and the participation of humanity that brings about a genetic code of human being and humanity, right? Civilization that has consciousness, right? That is awareness, connectivity, and healing arts, right? Consciousness is connectivity through healing arts. And that connectivity through healing arts brings awareness. Awareness brings the self-psychology through reparenting, reprogramming the mind, and eventually really opens up human memory and human history, right? Ancient history, self-knowledge, intuition, that really begins to liberate human, that brings sovereignty to human, that unlocks human, that gets human out of the cage and the imprisonment that human is in when they're in a lower vibrational state of stagnation, disillusionment, distraction. Human is imprisonment when there's delusionment, distraction, and discord, as well as stagnation, right? Human is bound to fear, bound to weakness of the mind, body, and spirit, and bound to the imbalances that birth unfairness, injustice, and chaos, and mayhem that creates conflict, friction, that eventually kind of creates a self-demise or self-destruct or self-aggression that overall leads to self-destruct, right? Over time, over generations. So the medium, even today, is seen as the wisdom holder, the self-knowledge, the mystic science, the futurist, the prophecy, right? The new age is seen basically as the ambassador for the fifth dimension, in the way that the medium, being the original psychic of all, the original, right, the most ancient, the bloodline. The medium belongs to an ancient bloodline, right? If you have a medium in you, you're belonging to an ancient bloodline, and that's your duty to that bloodline, is to connect with it, to learn your ancient history, to learn the ways of the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, the Egyptians, learn the ways of the Syrians, the Pleiadians, the Orions, learn the mythologies beyond what the mythologies of patriarchal domain, right? And discover an authenticity, an authenticity within history, meaning an original vision, right, that you can see interwoven in all mythology, from Chinese to Indian to Middle Eastern. You can find an original mythology and a original spirituality that's interwoven everywhere. And the medium is the eyes that see into the liberated plane, into the fifth dimension, into Lemuria, Atlantis, Egypt, right? These higher vibrational civilizations, and can see the mystic science, can see the leadership, the revolution, the integrity, the character, and the spiritual victory that was brought about through a guide, a teacher, right? A being, right? A bloodline that was very much masterful and very much connected to we know as God. So even the Jewish, very powerful bloodline, because there's this deep connection to God that is very mighty and full of a lot of nobility. Same as many in ancient Africa, not present day, but ancient Africa, there was a great sense of nobility in Egypt, right? And even in Cherokee, Indian, Native American, there's a sense of nobility. Even in Middle East, in this sort of ancient land, there's a sense of nobility. And that spiritual nobility is in a civilization or in a culture, right, or a generation, basically is reflecting the medium that guided the chief, that guided the shaman, right, towards guided the shaman through the mastery of healing arts, into, right, serving the people, helping the people awaken their talents, develop their talents, and let their talents elevate them into generation, and then another generation, then another generation of a fifth dimension of human design. And really, it's the talent of the human being, right? When human being has a gift, a talent, that's what the medium is. It gives you your talent. When she looks in your eyes, she's showing you your talent, your gift. She's giving you your talent, your gift, helping you to see, right, that you have your path. You have your vehicle towards your liberation, your prosperity, your culture, that every human being is meant to create a culture of healing arts, mystic science, revolution, leadership, balance, and beauty. And the medium just simply is a window to look out and see your future self, your past self, and the present self that is making major quantum leaps and making a choice to be in a creative destiny. The medium gives you that option, that choice, that decision to be in your creative destiny, to be fearless, to be brave, right? And to have your spiritual victory. And that's what basically the medium is to a bloodline. I am spiritual victory. And when you have 7, 14, multiple generations of that, that is what we call a bloodline that is able to manifest. A bloodline that is has a very strong, authentic code with Earth. A bloodline that actually is considered worthy, right? Has earned its prosperity, right? Its wealth, right? And many try to block the wealth of these bloodlines, try to steal it, kill it, destroy it, ruin it, because the agendas on this planet are very unruly many times, right? Very unruly and imbalanced and unjust, because the mayhem on this earth can be very very ruining, can ruin us and create all kinds of destruction, self-destruct. But the medium, the eyes of the medium really does, in the bloodline, right, a bloodline of spiritual victory, really does bring to earth always the eyes of the medium, the original bloodlines, which are many, not just one, but there's a root bloodline, really brings, they're like a key to the fifth dimension. It's almost like they're a key to the fifth dimension, in the unlocking of the fifth dimension, in the mystic science of the fifth dimension, the true sort of teaching and lifestyle and pattern that the fifth dimension is. So the medium is basically the mother, the parent, right? That the channel, right? The Sachic record that gives, right, to the generation, gives to people, the community, patterns, right? Patterns of self-concept, attitude, intelligence, patterns of energy, patterns of subconscious that belong to the fifth dimension of Lemuria, Atlantis, Egypt, Sirius, Pleiades. And that's why these mediums are so revered in the spiritual realm, like by all kinds of beings, angels, earthbound spirits, ancestors, dead people, you name it, because every being on earth, either it's a spirit, a human that's alive or dead, or other beings, goblins, whatever, fairies, they're very, very curious and in awe and want to know it, right? Want to have it, right? Because it actually, those patterns, those authentic code, actually the key, right, unlocks this fifth dimension, a creative destiny, that liberated plane is where we are most free. That's where we have freedom. That's where we have knowledge. That's where we have awareness, consciousness, that sets us free of pattern, like negative patterns, self-destruct habits, behaviors that sink us, and all the chaos, mayhem, and disorder, the conflict internally that keeps us stuck, right? These patterns belong to the fifth dimension, Lemuria, Atlantis, Egypt, and even further back on other planets, really give us the sort of visionary ability to astral project, remote view, manifest, and give us the opening of our third eye, the opening in our mind, the opening in our aura, the opening in our Sachic record, to really know how to navigate, how to travel through dimensions, how to travel through our own past, present, and future, to connect our energy into the creative destiny that we are all desiring to experience, because it represents our completion, like our last lifetime, right? Our last lifetime, our mastery, our contentment, our peace, right? Our harmony, our freedom, our sovereignty, our breakthrough, our purification, our innocence, our authenticity, right? It represents our home, our soul, right? Coming into the fullness of who we are, being what is most natural. And we all want to be that. And the lost souls that many are desire that, because we as human beings, either as a soul or not, as or as a alive or dead or spirit or ancestor, we know that a part of our, you can say, ascension or achievement or spiritual victory is really in the freedom, sovereignty, and liberation, empowerment, right? Really beginning to connect that fifth dimension, right, of our creative destiny into our present day lives, into our present, and begin to live talented and gifted. So this is the transmission from the medium about the medium and the bloodline of mediums that connect to the fifth dimension, ancient history on Earth, and the consciousness, the original consciousness that first came to Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago, that created an original culture, an artistry that was in a vibrational state of freedom, liberation, and spiritual victory, a technology, a tool, a mystic science that was able to help humanity through many, many spiritual battles excel through the sound current of human healing and human mastery over the healing arts.